that just out of ignorance or? Sports talk radio buffoon move to just have your radio this is like a cliche in sports talk. Turn your radio down. So as far as I'm concerned, the Joe in Sacramento's call didn't even really exist.
Hammer, I'm going to defend your city for you here. Do people in Sacramento really have a case against Cleveland? I mean, it's not like Joe's calling in from New York, you know?
Sacramento is in the summer especially, it's like the fifth circle of hell. What is it? What circle of hell are we in? The sixth circle of hell?
I don't know. I think there are 9 total.
What is the correct circle of hell that we're supposed? 888 say ESPN. I've been in Sacramento in the summer. It's 140 degrees. You're close to Tahoe. You're close to San Francisco, but you really want to be in one or the other, not stuck in the middle, and that's exactly what Sacramento is.
All right, let's go to Caleb in Missouri, who has an answer that's not going to upset us quite as much. Caleb, what do you got? Where do you not want to play?
What up, Caleb?
You know, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. You know, with the NFL coming down with all these harsh suspensions, why would you want to play for a team in Vegas? Why would you want to be subjected to that kind of temptation?
You know, it's funny,
the
Caleb,
Golden Knights, the A's, the Raiders.
I worry that, first of all, sports is forever going to be changed by some of this, but I don't understand. I like Vegas for 48 hours. Like, the people that live in Las Vegas, that has got to be a weird dynamic that I don't know I could agree to, Drew.
I actually think that Caleb has this all wrong. I think the safest place, if you're trying to avoid gambling rules in the NFL, is Vegas, because you can just walk into the sports book and place the bet. You don't have any temptation to do it from your phone in the locker room. Right. And that's where these guys are getting in trouble.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been to Vegas since sports gambling has become so ubiquitous around the country. That's an expensive word that means everywhere. Yeah. But apparently you cannot bet on your phone as easily in Vegas as you can, like, let's say in Indiana, Ohio, New York, New Jersey, all these states where sports gambling is legal. Right. So I actually think the Raiders might have less of a problem than some other NFL teams in states where you could just throw it up on your app.
Yeah. Also, if Sacramento is the fifth circle of hell in the summer, Vegas is like 1 through 4. It's got to be even hotter than Vegas than it is in Sacramento in the summer. All right. Where do you not want to sign if you're a free agent in the Big 4 professional sports leagues in North America? Let's go to Texas and check in with Dennis. Dennis, where do you not want to sign?
What's up, Dennis?
Hey, guys. How are y'all doing today?
Great.
Tremendous.
Good. So, you know, I've thought of a lot of franchises. There's a lot of great answers, but I just picked a big market one, and I'd say the Chicago Bears. Just through all the years of, you know, I'm not even a fan of the Chicago Bears. I'm a Cowboys fan. We could go down that road for days as well. But, you know, the Bears, just with the fumbling, the free agent signings, just, you know, coach after coach, just missed draft picks. It just, as a fan, I don't know. And especially as a player, I'd have no trust in that organization to surround me with a good team to be competitive. It's almost like it's just limbo. It's the next year. It's always going to be our year the next year. And, you know, I'll leave it at that with you guys.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
Imagine being a quarterback drafted to play for the Chicago Bears where they haven't had a good one since Sid freaking Luckman.
I'm going to the USFL if the Bears draft me to play quarterback. I'm like, you know what? The XFL actually sounds great. I'm going to the fan-controlled football league.
But let me tell you another one. Have they had a good wide receiver in the modern era in Chicago? I mean, imagine you're Chase Claypool. You think you've made it because you're in Pittsburgh where all they make is great wide receivers. Then you get traded to Chicago where their best wide receiver, I think, ever actually was a kick returner in Devin Hester.
Don't sleep on Mushin Muhammad, man.
Oh, my God.
Muhsin
Muhammad.
Muhammad. Yeah.
I'm trying to. Can you name a current Bears receiver aside from Claypool? Like,
they got DJ Moore in the the but he hasn't played for them yet.
There you go. That's
Brandon
one,
Marshall.
I guess. Yeah, that's a good one.
Brandon Marshall
is a good one.
He was good for a spell.
Matt
Forte probably led them in receiving a lot of the time in the last decade or so. I'd like to play for the Bears because I could go to Original Beef in Chicagoland and get one of the best beef original beef sandwiches.
But talk
in the
about a
world.
dysfunctional organization.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Arlington Heights. All right, if you're a free agent, which team would you least want to play for? We've gotten some great answers already. Let's check in Louisville with Ben, who's got a good answer for this question. Ben, how you doing?
Hey, Ben.
Good. Yay. So, all these other answers are pretty good, but the reality of it is it's Oakland, the Oakland A's, right?
Uh-huh.
Because if you're an Oakland
Oakland
A's
for
guy,
now.
right, and you get picked up for that, you're terrible. That means you got picked up because you're terrible. If you have a good year, they're going to ship you off anyway. So, it's Oakland.
It's a great answer. The ownership actively tries to make the team bad. So it's a great point from Ben that if you get picked up by Oakland, maybe that's a bad sign for you.
Yeah.
And the only saving grace is if you really love Las Vegas, you're probably going to be playing there in a few years.
Sure, but that would scare me too because of issues we've already discussed so far in this segment. And the other thing about playing for the A's, man, you'd think if you're a big league player, you have a beautiful clubhouse with video games and top-notch food and whatever you could drink. And isn't the story that some of these teams, like for the Oakland A's, you got to, like, if you want a Coke while you're in the clubhouse, you got to pay for it from a soda machine like you're working where you and I work, not where a major league ball player works.
That's right. We got time for one more. Where's the last place on your destination list if you're a free agent in the Big Four North American sports? Turk is in Philly. Turk, what do you think? How you doing?
What up, Turk?
Hey, good afternoon, fellas. Thanks for taking the call. Listen, as a longtime Giants fan, I'm almost offended at the guy who picked the Giants.
I'm with you, man.
As bad as I want to pick Philly, I got to go with the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the fact that we share a stadium with them. I hate the fact that there's hardly no Hall of Famers from the Jets. I don't like Joe Namath. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I don't like anything about this franchise, so I got to go with the Jets. They just edged out Philly.
The Jets have to be the worst roommate of all time. It's like living with someone who can't cook, never cleans, is always making a bunch of noise, up late. You don't want to be co-tenants with the New York Jets.
Well, listen, I think that also one of the weird dynamics of the New York Giants and New York Jets both play in New Jersey. Right. Imagine explaining this to I have a 4-year-old daughter. How am I going to explain that to her? You know? It's weird enough that the Jazz play in Utah, where no jazz music has ever been played ever. But the New York Giants and the New York Jets actually play in the state of New Jersey. Very strange.
Somewhere in Western New York, someone is banging on the radio and saying, yes, you're right, the Buffalo Bills are the only team that actually plays in New York State. Some great answers to that question as we are an hour and 45 minutes, give or take a few, from NBA free agency officially opening. Canty and Carlin is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits in one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Top 5 NFL fan bases. We're ranking the top of everything in the NFL. This is ESPN Radio's Rank 'em, the top 5 offseason editions.
All right, well, here we go. Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. He is Drew Carter. I am Aaron Goldhammer. And I was asked earlier today to rank my top 5 NFL offseason editions for you. This is ESPN Radio's Rank 'em, and I'm ready to go. I have spent a lot of time putting this list together, guys, so let's hit it.
Number 5.
All right, number 5, I think, is actually, Drew, addition by subtraction. I think Dan Snyder being gone in Washington is an addition. Is that am I allowed to fudge the rules to make this? Imagine being a Commanders fan. You've had no hope. You've had a terrible stadium for 20 years. Your owner is like Dr. Evil, or some sort of Bond villain who lives on a yacht off of some weird island somewhere. He can't even show his face in public. And you go from that, now you got a respectable owner, you got a respectable coach, you got a respectable organization. Now all you need is a quarterback, and you could be underway and finally going with football in Washington. You can finally have a respectable team name now that your owner is out of there. I feel like it's one of the biggest moves in the NFL this offseason. It's one not many people are talking about. Addition by subtraction, Dan Snyder gone with the Commanders.
Number 4.
Number 4 is kind of an odd one. I don't think Odell Beckham has a lot left in the tank, and I think $15 million is too much for him. But I think his signing by the Ravens got them Lamar Jackson back. So because of that, I think it was Odell and Lamar for the $15 million. And so I think in that sense it was a great move by Eric DeCosta, Bisciotti, Harbaugh, everybody with the Baltimore Ravens. I think getting Lamar to stay is one of the key stories of the offseason. So I actually will give them credit for signing Odell, my number 4 offseason addition in the NFL.
Number 3.
Number 3, I think, is the coach. I think if the Broncos are going to do anything, they had to make a big move for a big-time coach. And I think they go from the worst coach maybe in NFL history in Nathaniel Hackett as a head coach, going all the way back to the first game he coached when Peyton Manning was questioning his existence on the Manning cast on ESPN2, to Sean Payton, who I think is one of the best coaches in modern NFL history. I mean, he turned the New Orleans Saints into a winner. That's one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. So I've got Sean Payton to Denver as my number 3 biggest offseason NFL acquisition.
Number 2.
Number 2 is a surprising one, I bet, for a lot of people out there. Boy, the 49ers are good. They're just loaded with talent everywhere. And I think they'd have gone to the Super Bowl if Purdy had stayed healthy. And I think they're the one weird team where kind of the quarterback doesn't matter because they're so good around him. And I think their signing of Javon Hargrave, holy cow. Good luck blocking their front. Good luck stopping their running game. Good luck shutting down all the aspects of their team, which are just light years better than mostly everyone else. And I think they might be going to the Super Bowl this year. And I think they could do it with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. That's how much I believe in their defense and in the other aspects of their team. I got Javon
Wrap
Hargrave.
up the month of June on the annual Fan Appreciation Night with only $5 for admission and fireworks with a special meet and greet for the drivers during intermission time. It's one of the biggest nights at Farmer City Raceway. You don't want to miss it. It's a great night to bring someone new to the track and pay their way in. Farmer City Racing with fireworks finale June 30th. Learn more at FarmerCityRacing.com.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
Joe Namath was there at Super Bowl III. I don't know how you could come up with an NFL offseason move bigger than Aaron Rodgers coming to the Big Apple. So that is my 5-1. Dan Snyder's addition by subtraction. Odell Beckham and Lamar to Baltimore. Sean Payton to the Broncos. Javon Hargrave to the 49ers. And Aaron Rodgers to New York City. That is
Kelsey
my
Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
Neighborhood Nights is back for its 35th year
Well,
with the
Hammer, I
Urbana
love your
Park
list.
District,
As we're going to learn later on in the
different
show,
talent
I do have
in
an
different
acquisition
parks
that's bigger
every
than
Wednesday
Aaron
between
Rodgers.
6:30 and 8.
As
It's a free
absolutely
concert in the
unbelievable
neighborhood
as that
parks
sounds, if
as you bring
listen
your
to
lawn chair
ESPN
and
Radio for the
enjoy
last 2
free
months,
popcorn
or
and
watch
lemonade.
First Take for the
Make
last 2
neighborhood
months, because
connections.
it's
Build
half the
community
content we've
and
been talking
enjoy
about
the
was Rodgers
outdoors.
Watch. I actually do think there's a bigger move in the offseason.
Specific dates
my
and
favorite one
bands
from
are
your list
online
is
at
number 5,
urbanaparks.org.
is Dan Snyder selling the team.
Wouldn't it be
I actually
nice
think
to
from
visit a car
long-term
dealership where you
ramification
didn't
perspective,
feel
that
like
is
you were
number
at
one.
an auction?
You might be right.
The Commanders aren't a joke anymore.
Or didn't feel like you were being taken to the cleaners?
I'm going to make him an offer, and is a NFL
Welcome to
analyst
Sarah
for us.
Champagne.
He
At
ranked
Sarah, they offer a
everybody's
one-price
offseason, and he
promise.
has the
Every
Commanders as the
vehicle
best
at a fair
offseason
price,
because they
no
got Eric
negotiation,
Kennedy to
only
be their
the
offensive
best
coordinator,
price.
and they
Sarah
got Dan
Champagne,
Snyder to
Honda,
stop
BMW,
being their
GMC,
own.
Buick, and
So, you add those two
Subaru.
things together, neither one of them has,
Champagne.com.
Illini pizza fans, Jets Pizza has been making the best pizza on the planet for 40 years. They've always been committed to quality, like hand-pressed dough, fresh mozzarella, and sauce made from Mama Jet's secret family recipe. All baked to perfection. It takes more work, but take one bite and you'll get it. Right now, enjoy 3 types of pepperoni with the new Triple-Roni pizza for just $16.99. And this is a limited time deal, so visit visit jetspizza.com. And don't forget to flavorize your crust for free, like their famous Turbo Crust. Jets, better because it has to be.
Think of the excitement on that special summer space when they receive a beautiful floral creation from the Blossom Basket Floors. Flowers are God's creation that express beauty and love. Make that special occasion unforgettable with flowers that will brighten their day. They do flowers for all occasions and deliver in Champaign-Urbana and all the surrounding communities. Visit the Blossom Basket Floors online at blossombasket.com or visit them at 1002 North Cunningham Avenue in Urbana.
For you guys.
What's up,
Dennis?
Still have
Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best product backed by the best warranties in the business, as well as Central Illinois employees dedicated to providing you with special installation and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Looking to eat healthier and buy locally? Savannah Ridge Farms in Indianola, Illinois has been expanding their yak herd for nearly 2 years, offering local farm-to-table meat containing absolutely no antibiotics, no hormones, or steroids. Savannah Ridge Farms is raising 100% all-natural yaks that feed on organic grass and hay in chemical-free open land. Yak meat is one of the best sources of protein and is nearly 100% fat-free. So if you want healthy, nutrient-dense, vitamin-packed red meat without the worry of how it got to your plate, visit SavannahRidgeFarms.com and check out their Facebook page. Look for Savannah Ridge Farms at Urbana's Market at the Square on Saturdays. They deliver to Champaign and Vermilion counties, and you can also pick them up at their farm. Visit SavannahRidgeFarms.com for incredibly healthy yak meat. SavannahRidgeFarms.com.
I'm Drew Carter.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg, Cats Lante and Derek Piper, weekdays from 4 to 6, right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
We'll speak with an NBA expert, and I'm going to throw a ridiculous hypothetical trade at him and see how he reacts. That's coming up next. This is Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio.
The countdown to kickoff rolls on. 69 days until the NFL season begins.
McCaffrey to the 20. He's got another touchdown.
No matter how we win, it's if we win.
Continuing coverage.
Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young.
Camp to camp, team to team. The NFL lives here. ESPN Radio.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
The final horse now in the gate, and they're off. They're starting off with a double toe loop jump, leaving a difficult 7-10 split as there's movement on the inside rail. Only 9 pins separate them now as they head to the final quarter mile. They're neck and neck. It's down to the last frame. Here comes the axle jump. They bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Win, stripes, savings, gold.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead.
With free battery testing and charging, AutoZone is here to help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
What if I need a new one?
We have the right batteries right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone,
And what if I don't know how to connect it?
No problem. We have a how-to for you at AutoZone.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When you can find everything you need at prices you can afford, that's totally Target. It's that feeling when quality Good and Gather ingredients on the barbecue bring family around the table. Or when favorite day after practice snacks let you celebrate the whole team for less. It's when saving more on Up and Up sunscreen means more fun in the sun. And when Target Circle Rewards program gives you more perks on what you buy most and is always free to join, that's totally Target.
With summer in full swing, now's the perfect time to head to the ballpark. Score great deals on great seats from our friends at Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN. Every crack of the bat, every diving catch, every heart-pounding play. Experience it live, in person, from the first pitch to the final inning. Vivid Seats has a huge selection of MLB tickets, and they're the only ticket company that rewards your purchases. For the best selection of 2023, shop now. Just visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live.
Every industry has specialists, like Alan here. He knows radiators.
Radiators. I love them. Don't even talk to me about brakes or fuel lines.
Just radiators.
Radiators.
Sally is a specialist in cakes.
I think pies are an abomination.
Really? Pies?
Yuck.
Then we have Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. You know what they're great at? Appliances. Nothing else. No TVs, no computer printers, no radiators.
Who's got a problem with radiators?
Nobody, Alan, but you can't get one at Dick Van Dyke Appliance World.
Too bad. They're missing out.
I'm Dennis Regan, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. All we do is appliances. And when that's all you do it better than anyone else. Our associates on our sales floors know more about them. Our delivery people are better at installing them, and our technicians are better at fixing them. All right here in Central Illinois. Wow!
I can't believe you don't like pies, though.
What do I look like, some kind of a peasant?
No.
Cakes are really the best thing.
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
When Ross went out, I always told him to be careful, and that was the last time I got to see him.
Because someone didn't slow down and move over. Ross had on a bright orange shirt with reflective stripes the night he was killed.
He always had that smile. He just lit up the room when he came in.
Slow down and move over when you see flashing lights. Everybody is somebody.
When you see lights flashing, use caution passing. Let's all go home safe tonight.
The Monticello Freedom Fest will be held at Lodge Park in Monticello on July 3rd. The festivities will start at 4 p.m. with kids' games, food vendors, music, balloons, novelties, airbrush, stuffed animals, and a raffle. Fireworks will start at 9 p.m. There will be parking at Washington School, and buses will be available to transport to and from Lodge Park. Monticello Railway offers a fireworks train that requires a reservation, which departs from Wabash Depot in downtown Monticello at 8 p.m. Monday, July 3rd, it's Monticello's Freedom Fest.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Think of the excitement on that special someone's face when they receive a beautiful floral creation from the Blossom Basket Florist. Flowers are God's creation that express beauty and love. Make that special occasion unforgettable with flowers that will brighten their day. They do flowers for all occasions and deliver in Champaign-Urbana and all the surrounding communities. Visit the Blossom Basket Florist online at blossombasket.com or visit them at 1002 North Cunningham Avenue in Urbana.
Wrap up the month of June on the annual Fan Appreciation Night with only $5 for admission and fireworks with a special meet and greet for the drivers during intermission time. It's one of the biggest nights at Farmer City Raceway. You don't want to miss it. It's a great night to bring someone new to the track and pay their way in. Farmer City Racing with fireworks finale June 30th. Learn more at FarmerCityRacing.com.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Joe Fortenbaugh.
Absolutely fantastic news for the Philadelphia 76ers, because if you go back to when they acquired James Harden, they had to give up Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round draft picks, 1 protected, 1 unprotected. In exchange, they bring back James Harden and Paul Millsap. Now, Philadelphia won that trade as of right now because Simmons has been a net negative for the Nets. Meanwhile, Harden did lead the league in assists last season and had a spectacular game 1 against Boston. So you got something out of him. The ability to bring something back and not just lose him outright in free agency is huge for Philadelphia. Now, for those who are going to say, well, what about the production you're going to lose? Regular season production, big numbers, that's what James Harden can do. But when you need him to be an absolute killer, he's never been that guy. Running it back with him isn't going to get you anywhere closer to what you're ultimately looking for, which is an NBA title.
Hey, you're not a real customer. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 44-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Welcome to Ethos, a new kind of insurance company that believes life insurance should be hassle-free, affordable, and accessible for everyone.
For around $1 a day, I got a 20-year, $250,000 term life insurance policy without a medical exam. All I had to do was answer a few health questions and snap, family protected. It was quick and easy. Ethos is 100% online. I got a quote in seconds, applied in minutes, and got coverage in hours. Just answer a few health questions. No medical exam, no blood tests, no hassle. Look, nobody wants to plan for the unthinkable, but it would be so much worse to not plan at all. So don't put it off. It feels great having the peace of mind knowing that my family is protected.
Ethos, the 100% online hassle-free way to get affordable life insurance. Don't wait. Get your free online quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ethoslife.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. NBA free agency is just a few hours away. Players and teams can negotiate starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, only 90 minutes away now. ESPN's Brian Windhorst says Kyrie Irving doesn't have as many options as he thinks he does.
What Kyrie is trying to do is to create leverage because the Mavericks don't have to offer. And my guess is it's not about dollars per year. It's about number of years.
Brian Windhorst on Fitz and Harry. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Nets are trading forward Joe Harris and 2 future second-round picks to the Pistons. Brooklyn opens up a $20 million roster spot for a traded player. The Blackhawks signed Corey Perry to a 1-year, $4 million deal 1 day after trading with the Lightning to get his rights. Without that deal, Perry would have become a free agent tomorrow. He's 38 and played the last 2 seasons in Tampa. Dodgers owner Mark Walter, team president Stan Kasten, and minority owner Billie Jean King will launch and run a new women's professional hockey league starting in January.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Adrian Wojnarowski reports James Harden opts into his contract for next season.
The most prominent team out there right now is the Los Angeles Clippers. But the Sixers will want to get some value back for James Harden. New York's another team that I think is going to look at this.
I think it's an abject nightmare if the Knicks try to go and get James Harden. Even if it's a one-year thing, I get it a little bit more. But the Knicks are not contending for a championship if they add James Harden right now.
We are under 90 minutes from NBA free agency officially opening. And of course, there have been no conversations. There has been no tampering. Everybody follows the rules, but that does not prevent us from going to the phone lines and chatting with Chris Mannix, a Sports Illustrated senior writer, an NBA analyst at NBC Sports Boston. You can find him on Twitter at SI Chris Mannix. This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio alongside Aaron Goldhammer. I'm Drew Carter. And Chris, thanks for taking the time to join the show. I know it's a crazy time today as NBA free agency begins. Let's start with the biggest name that's on the block right now, I guess, and James Harden. When you saw yesterday that he's opting in and working with the Sixers on a trade, seemingly 12 hours after we all thought he was going to stay there long term, what was your reaction?
It was surprising, mostly because of the contract situation. By opting in, James Harden obviously will guarantee himself $35.5 million next season, but he cannot negotiate an extension off that with Philadelphia or with whatever team is acquiring him. So what he's looking at is going into free agency next summer, weeks before his age 35 birthday, and trying to negotiate a long-term deal then. That's a pretty big risk to take. I mean, one of the reasons Draymond Green opted out of his contract now was because it's easier to negotiate a multi-year deal at 33 rather than doing it at 34 next summer. So for James Harden to, opt into that contract, that's a pretty strong indication that the market for Harden was about as soft as it could possibly get.
Oof. Chris, what would have to happen for Kyrie to not play in Dallas?
I think a lot. The only real threat to sign Kyrie Irving is Houston, because they have the cap space and they have a need for established veterans on that roster. But the Rockets, I'm told, are pretty committed to making a substantial $30 million plus offer to Fred VanVleet, the next 90 minutes. And if they do, I've had multiple people tell me it's very likely that he takes it. There may not even be a counter from Toronto, which may deem that price tag just too high for them to match. So if the Rockets pay Fred VanVleet, they're obviously not going to offer anything to Kyrie Irving. And after that, I mean, he can take as many meetings as he wants. These teams he's talking to would have to get Dallas to play ball. And, everything I've been told is that the Mavericks are just committed to finding a way or pathway to bringing Kyrie Irving back on a multi-year deal. And let's say he did want to go to Phoenix. What could the Suns possibly offer in a deal? They can't. Well, the Suns, I don't think, can do a deal. They can't sign and trade because they're
ham sandwich
at the moment. Yeah, I mean, Miami, Miami loves to think that Tyler Hero brings some value, but I've been reporting for the last week the market for Tyler Hero, who's about to begin the first year of a 4-year, $120 million contract, is lukewarm at best. So, to me, it's a lot of attempts at leverage creating by Kyrie Irving to get the maximum possible dollar figure and the maximum number of years from Dallas.
Tyler Hero in the trade machine is a Hall of Famer. Like, you would think this guy's a 98 on 2K and just is coming off an MVP season with the value he seems to have in these hypothetical trades. And speaking of hypothetical trades, Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated senior writer for the NBA, I've got one for you. Let's say Kawhi for Harden is on the table. Who says no?
I think if you're the Clippers, you say no, because what does that really get you? A Kawhi-Harden swap is at best an even swap. And, in the playoffs, we've seen Kawhi has proven he can elevate a team if he's healthy. Harden has not proven that yet. And it's hard to believe, late in his almost 35 come postseason time that he's going to be able to do that. The Clippers, they're not going to trade either of their stars to go and get him. In fact, they don't want to trade, many of their young players to go and get him. What the Clippers are focused on is, number one, winning a championship this year. But you have to remember, too, they're going to open up the new building of theirs in Inglewood in about, 15, 16 months from now.
Yeah.
They want to go into that building with as many stars as possible. They're trying to sell tickets. They're trying to sell, licensing. They're trying to make a whole lot of money off that building. And the best way to do that is to have the most glittery team you could possibly have. And that's going to be among their priorities over the next couple of years. So I do think that the Clippers are a strong favorite to land James Harden because they do have expiring contracts. They do have a couple of young pieces, and they do have future draft picks to deal, but it won't be for one of their star players.
Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated senior writer, is with us. Chris, we know the Blazers probably are the favorite now to retain Dame Lillard heading into this season. But if you were setting odds in Vegas, who is the second most likely team for Dame to be playing for in October?
I would say Brooklyn. Again, because of the assets that the Nets could potentially offer, Brooklyn could build a package around Ben Simmons in terms of the contracts that you'd send back. Simmons, we don't know what he is at this point, but that albatross of a contract is not quite the anvil around the neck that it used to be. There's only 2 years and about $77 million left on that contract, which isn't great, especially if Simmons is the same guy we've seen the last couple of years, but it's not a cap killer like it's been in years past. And then the Nets have all those draft picks. They've got a lot of those Suns picks from the Durant deal, and most people I talk to around the league look at those Suns picks, and what's it, 28 and 30. I mean, they are valuable. They're very valuable because even in the best case scenario, Phoenix is probably looking at a long rebuild after this Big Three era is over, and those are the kind of picks that Brooklyn has in their pocket to potentially deal. So we saw Dame as kind of maybe half in jest noted that the Nets were among his teams he'd be willing to go to, and it just makes sense because Brooklyn has more than other teams have right now to offer to get Damian Lillard.
Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated senior writer, NBC Sports Boston NBA analyst. Not only covering the NBA, though, also does a great job covering boxing. And before we let you go, Chris, I got to ask you about something that blew up on social media in the last couple weeks. If Elon Musk fought Mark Zuckerberg, how would you handicap that fight?
I wouldn't even want to watch that fight.
Come on, Chris.
Rich people tend to think that they're better athletes than they are, in part because, when they work out, they probably hear a lot of positive reinforcement. And if they grapple with someone, chances are the person they're grappling with is not going all out. So I don't think I'd want to see, a soon-to-be 40, Mark Zuckerberg and a 50-year-old Elon Musk, in a UFC cage or whatever it's going to be, doing that. I wouldn't even know how to handicap because I've never actually seen either one of them, work out. But I think it would be embarrassing for the both of them, regardless of how much money they would make.
Mark Zuckerberg is apparently training in jiu-jitsu. That doesn't move the needle for you?
I mean, I've been, I cover boxing, and I've been training in boxing for the better part of the last 5 years. I once went 3 rounds with Juan Manuel Marquez, who was a former world champion, just as for a story I was written. I am embarrassingly bad at boxing. You ever put me in a competitive matchup, I'm going to look like an idiot. And I get the feeling, regardless of what level those guys are competing at, they will look. They'll just look. They'll look kind of. If you remember the Mike Tyson Roy Jones exhibition, it'll probably look a lot like that or worse in some of these things where senior citizens in sports worlds, in sports in situations, they would probably look how they would look.
Well, I think actually the worse it looks, the more people might want to watch it. Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. He's Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated senior writer and NBC Sports Boston NBA analyst. Chris, best of luck covering free agency. Thanks for taking a few minutes here.
You got it, guys.
All right, coming up here on Canty and Carlin, which team would you least want to play for? We're still taking your calls. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. If you're a free agent, where are you not trying to go in one of the big 4 professional North American sports leagues? Plus, a move the Brooklyn Nets just made that kind of raised our eyebrows a little bit before free agency starts. That is next. This is Canty and Carlin, presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio.
This weekend on ESPN Radio, fighting for the top of the NL West, the San Francisco Giants continue an East Coast trip at Citi Field against the New York Mets. Coverage begins tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
The Dell Technologies Black Friday in July event has arrived with limited quantity deals on top tech to power any passion. Save on select XPS PCs and more, powered by the latest Intel Core processors. Plus, get savings on select monitors and accessories, free shipping and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to U.S. residents by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
As our nation celebrates its 247th birthday this July, Gale Frericks Trucking is extending a firecracker of a deal to professional Class A CDL drivers interested in joining our team. In addition to our standard offering of great percentage pay, paid holidays and vacations, pre-planned dispatches, benefits, home time every weekend, and $1,200 per week gross pay guarantee, drivers that join us in the month of July will receive an additional $247 per week for the first 16 weeks with us. Take the family out to dinner when you're home every weekend, or use it as a Christmas fund. It doesn't matter to us. This is America, and you have the freedom to do with it what you want. If you have a Class A CDL and would like to explore our regional van and flatbed opportunities and work for a company that works as hard for you as you do for them, call Tim at 765-793-7131 or email timo@gftlog.com.
Experience food, drinks, and fun at the grand reopening of Champaign's favorite sports bar, Pia's. Whether you're up for their famous Slugger Burger, never-ending nachos, having a drink with your friends, or watching your favorite sports team, Pia's has you covered. After the forced renovation undergone on the local pub, it's the perfect time to celebrate a return to normal and bring the community together. Don't miss the grand reopening at Pia's, 1609 West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
If you're in the market for a new car battery, you could go to one of those big box stores, except there's no guarantee you'll be served by an actual car expert.
Clean up in aisle 3.
You could pick a battery off the shelf, except it might be close to expiring. Or you could just come into Interstate. Don't make a big box store blunder. With competitive prices and a more personal, reliable approach, Interstate Batteries is the clear-cut choice if you want to guarantee yourself a new and trustworthy car battery. They're open and ready to serve you at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
Tired of trying to keep up with Old Man Jones and his perfect lawn? Spring Green knows that we can't all spend hours a day creating that perfect shade of green, killing off all that crabgrass, and making sure every insect in the neighborhood doesn't call your lawn home this year. At Spring Green, they take the hassle out of your lawn headache with services such as lawn fertilization, weed control, grub and insect control, lime treatments, and even bush and tree care. Let the experts at Spring Green help you this season. For more information, visit them at spring-green.com. Spring Green, America's neighborhood lawn care team.
If you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or van, look no further than Sarah Champagne. You know them for their 5 incredible vehicle brands, the BMW, Honda, Subaru, Buick, and GMC. But did you know they also have over 100 used cars, trucks, and vans in stock right now? And at Sarah Champagne, they will take care of you. You can trust them. And prices begin at under $2,000. Stop by Sarah Champagne. They're Burwash and Savoy, or go online, sarahchampagne.com. That's Sarah, SERRA, champagne.com.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Hey Illini fans, it's Max Kellerman. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CAR3 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CAR3 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code CAR3 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
This is Pretection. Yep, Pretection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
We're cruising along here on Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. Alongside Aaron Goldhammer, I'm Drew Carter. Love for you to get involved in the show. 1-888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. We've been asking you all afternoon, if you were a high-profile free agent in any sport, one of the big four North American major sports leagues, which team would you least want to play for? I think there are 120 of them.
It makes me laugh because when you set this up, you do it in such a professional way. You make everyone think you're saying, what team would you most want to play for? And when you go, like, no, that's not the conversation we want to have. Who do you want to poop on ESPN?
Yeah. This is a negativity Friday. Let's do a little news dump on this Friday and dump on some franchises in those big four professional sports leagues. And let's go out to Bob in North Carolina, who has an answer for this question. Bob, how you doing? What's your answer?
What's up, Bob?
I'm going with the Nets and the Mets. The Nets are owned by oligarchs from China and Russia, and the Mets are just cursed.
Short,
good rationale, potentially good rationale on all sides of that. The other thing about the Nets, it's like the A's, where it's one of these like least favorite child of a city teams. I'd feel the same way about the Chicago White Sox. You know, if you play baseball in Chicago, you want to be at Wrigley or do you want to be on the south side? Like, that's not even a question.
You want to be at Guaranteed Rate Field, which has changed names like 5 times in the last 10 years?
Right. It's the Clippers. You know, another one. These teams that are the second choice in the town, I guess it's a little cooler because they're at Barclays and because they're in Brooklyn and because they made the move from New Jersey. But, man, even when they had the most talented team in the league there, they couldn't win, they couldn't drum up fan support, etc.
And I will say in the Nets' defense, and I understand what Bob was saying, but in the Nets' defense, I think Joe Tsai seems like a pretty good owner. And I might just be biased because he loves lacrosse and I love lacrosse. But I think Joe Tsai seems to be having that organization pointed in the right direction. Think about the difference between Tsai and Prokhorov and what they've done. Mikhail Prokhorov traded for 3 superstars who were about to be washed up and gave up the entire future for it.
Right.
Meanwhile, the current Nets are hitting the reset button. You know, they traded Kevin Durant, got a huge haul. Mikal Bridges seems like a great piece to build around. And then today, they trade Joe Harris to Detroit. And Joe Harris is about to enter the final year of a 4-year, about $75 million contract.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, Hammer, what are the Nets up to? Because I think you could look at this in 2 different ways.
Yeah.
One, they are just totally hitting the reset button and trying to tear it down and rebuild. Or 2, now they have a $20 million trade exception, which they could pay to someone they trade for. And, of course, Damian Lillard, the Nets have been seemingly a contender for his services.
This is a move that definitely made me say, a little bit. I don't know that Joe Harris, you know, he was supposed to be the big 3-point shooter that would be constantly open when KD and Kyrie and James Harden were there. And he was never healthy to be able to really make it work. But this is a trade, like when you see a trade and Woj isn't even reporting really what they got back in the trade, it makes you wonder, what is that team up to? And it just made me think that the Nets aren't in for a long-term rebuild, actually, Drew. I think they are up to some moves here. And I'm curious to see how this is going to go. We obviously heard from Chris Mannix that they could be a team if Dame Lillard ends up becoming available. But I think they are also a team that would want to be in play for any star because they know for them it's hard enough to sell tickets already. And I don't see them as the patient kind of team that wants to rebuild right. I think they want to try to fast-track this thing beyond the KD Kyrie era as much as they can.
Yeah, the Nets traded Joe Harris and 2 second-round picks to the Pistons. Not 4 2 second-round picks. They traded him and 2 second-round picks to Detroit. So what's going on in Brooklyn? If we hear anything, we will keep you posted here on ESPN Radio. NBA free agency begins in just over an hour. This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
By now, you've all heard the expression, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 for PDR Automotive. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. But who are they? They, the PDR staff, understand that a name is only as good as the people that represent it. The PDR staff has more than 335 years of combined automotive experience, several employees now on staff for more than 25 years. PDR, more than just a name. Family owned and operated, now celebrating over 50 years in business.
If you need a new business sign or signage for your golf outing, we can do it and help you get noticed. Hi, this is Kirk Lehman, owner of Aftershock Decals and Design, and we can produce any kind of signage you want with our graphic design team. You want a custom design? We are here for you, and we are easy to work with, I promise. So visit us at AftershockDD.com to get a quote and get noticed. That's AftershockDD.com. Get noticed.
Imagine you're in the south of France in October when the temperature will be 70. Hi, it's Stevie J, and it's time to travel. Join Larry and Elena Canfer for their Off the Beaten Path to the south of France and Italy, September 29th through October 9th. The south of France is noted for its Mediterranean lifestyle and unique artists like Van Gogh, Picasso, and Chagall. They'll go off the beaten path to explore picturesque villages and seaside towns. You'll enjoy delicious meals with the greatest olive oil and wine. Then you'll go east to Milan, the Italian city of design and fashion and Ferraris. Again, the trip leaves from Champaign September 29th and goes through October 9th, non-stop flights both ways. It's the south of France and Milan, Italy with Larry and Elena Canfer. For complete details and to sign up, go to StevieJTravel.com. That's StevieJayTravel.com. Stevie J Travel. Where do you want to go?
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. Take a look around your home. Is it finally ready for some much-needed updates? If you don't know where to start, then just meet with one of our experts. We'll help you find the perfect waterproof plank floor for your kitchen or that stain-resistant, super soft carpet for your bedroom. Finish your room update with a custom sofa and chairs, or choose a trendy in-stock dining set that's priced right. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
The sounds of spring and the smell of flowers in the air, they all add up to Spring Green, America's neighborhood lawn care team. They become your favorite through quality service and professionalism. Spring Green will service and maintain your lawnscape with seeding, aeration, fertilizing, disease, and insect control. Over 32 years of satisfied customers reflect their commitment to Champaign-Urbana and the Mattoon-Charleston area. Call Spring Green at 217-359-2111 or online at spring-green.com.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Max Kellerman. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Something may be brewing right under our noses. That in 60 seconds.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-371-2405 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-371-2405. That's 800-371-2405. What do you have to lose? Call 800-371-2405. Again, 800-371-2405.
While Philadelphia, LA, Portland, Miami, and Boston may be stealing the headlines early in the NBA offseason, keep an eye on Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo is eligible to sign a Supermax extension this summer. Last week, Chris Middleton opted out of his $40 million option with the Bucks, and Defensive Player of the Year candidate Brook Lopez is a free agent. Where those two decide to continue their careers could have a major impact on Giannis's future in Milwaukee. If it doesn't break right, forget Dame Lillard. Everyone will be positioning themselves to land a two-time MVP still in his 20s. With the ESPN Radio Sports Beat from Canty and Carlin, I'm Chris Carlin.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The NBA free agent negotiation window opens 1 hour from now. And then there are players who could be traded, like James Harden. ESPN's Brian Windhorst explains how the 76ers could make a run at Damian Lillard.
If this is a two-step situation where the Sixers were to trade James Harden, potentially for a draft pick or two, some expiring contracts or a young player, and then they could add Tyrese Maxey to it, and then make that offer to Portland, that potentially is compelling.
Brian Windhorst on Fitz and Harry, and our Ramona Shelburne reports the Sixers will not extend Tyrese Maxey's contract this summer. He has 1 year to go on his rookie deal. Guardians manager Terry Francona is back in the dugout for today's game against the Cubs. Francona missed 3 games this week. He was hospitalized overnight for lightheadedness. The Cubs lead that game 10-1 in the ninth. And ESPN's Pete Thamel reports San Diego State is now expected to stay in the Mountain West.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save.
If you haven't take problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a Chris ain't one. Hit me.
This is Canty and Carlin.
I saw this, and I just am laughing to myself. LeBron James this morning tweeting about watching the movie Teen Wolf from 1985. Here's the tweet. Sitting here watching Teen Wolf, and then he puts in parentheses, 1985, so as not to be confused with the show from MTV. The last basketball scene, when he didn't go back to the Wolf, is the funniest basketball I've ever seen, with about 1 million crying, laughing emojis. And why, how is old buddy standing under the rim at the end of the game to win with free throws? There is not a more underrated, funny basketball movie or sports movie than Teen Wolf.
Not the most interesting tweet from LeBron James this morning, though.
No?
The most interesting tweet from LeBron James, I guess we're going to Atlanta, that referencing Bronny being drafted next summer, assuming he's a one and done by the Atlanta Hawks.
That was a mock draft somewhere, how to go into Atlanta?
I'm just saying. LeBron James and Bronny in Atlanta.
This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. You can also listen to the show on the ESPN app, your smart speaker, and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
Well, if you love the NBA, today is like Christmas, and guess what? Santa Woj is about an hour away from coming down the chimney. This is Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80. He is Drew Carter. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. 6 o'clock Eastern, Drew. NBA free agency gets underway. It's open for business. The hottest topic in the league right now isn't really a free agent, though. James Harden yesterday, it was an odd tweet from Woj that sort of confused me in a way. He opted into his contract, so I said, oh, okay, stay in Philly. He opts in. But then with the intention of being traded, we've talked about the ramifications of this for Philadelphia. I think it's about time we start talking about where we think James Harden is actually going to end up now moving forward.
Yeah, Woj said 2 teams expected to contend for Harden are the Clippers and the Knicks. And, Hammer, the more I think about the NBA landscape, and I'm going through these teams that could realistically make a play for James Harden, every time I'm like, nope, hate the fit. Nope, hate the fit. Nope, hate the fit. You know why? Because James Harden doesn't fit, period. He doesn't fit any system. Maybe he's a little bit less ball dominant now than he was in Houston.
Yeah.
But he still isn't a fit. This isn't like KD.
Wasn't he a good fit in Philadelphia, though? Like, if James Harden wanted to win, he'd be staying with the Sixers. This isn't about anything
This is the best
beyond.
fit.
This isn't about anything beyond money, and I can't blame James Harden for that to a degree. But Drew, he has made a ton of money in his career, and it's a little bit eye-opening and revealing about the player to me that he's making this decision based entirely on cash, and that he doesn't seem to care about trying to put himself in the best position to win.
And what's interesting, though, is sports are the only profession where we judge people for that, right? I mean, in basically any occupation, if you say, look, I got to leave, I just got offered double my salary to go to a different company, no one's going to be like, well, that guy sucks. They're going to be like, that makes a lot of sense.
But we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, or maybe in some professions,
I mean,
if you're lucky.
For you, it's millions, I think.
Well, they
8
don't
hours
call
of
me.
radio
They
every
don't
day.
call me Gold Hammer for nothing. I put the gold in Gold Hammer.
That's right.
But there's also this thought to me that, like, with Harden, because he's already, how much money has he made in his career? I'll look
Well,
that
how
up
much
real
money
quick.
has he spent, though, is another good question.
Okay, but how many hundreds of millions of dollars do you need? The weird one to me, it does feel financially driven, because I think he's trying to set himself up for the long-term payday for a number of years and big money after this season when he expects to hit free agency again. So, Drew, if you're going to trade for James Harden, you're kind of only doing it for a year unless you think or you want to sign him to a monster contract extension a year from now.
Yeah, I just don't see there being a lot of a market for James Harden. And from his perspective, if you do want to go somewhere you can win, that is a plus, because a team's not going to have to dive into their war chest to give up a ton of assets to get James Harden. It's a 1-year rental for a guy who is entering his 15th season in the NBA.
Yeah.
And a guy who also is a bit of a wild card in terms of what kind of commitment we're going to see. I mean, this is a guy where there are conspiracy theories about him wearing a fat suit in Houston so he could get traded to Brooklyn. And then he goes to the Nets and magically he's svelte, looks like he's dropped 50 pounds. And then, guess what? He wants to leave Brooklyn.
Well, what do you think? Let me, because if you're one of these teams, the Clippers and the Knicks, I think the fit in New York is terrible. I think it's just, I think
the fit
Madison's
everywhere is terrible.
But I think it's mostly terrible in New York. It's more terrible in New York. I think he's bad with bright lights. So let's send him to Broadway and Madison Square Garden and Mr. Bing Bong outside the. Like, I think Knick fans would eat him alive. I also think Knick fans would boo him right off the bat, because I think they're savvy enough basketball people that they understand, depending on what they gave up, just how bad a fit it would be. The Clippers thing, to me, I mean, I've just resigned myself to the fact we thought Kawhi and Paul George were going to win like 2, 3, 4 championships, and I don't think at this point they can stay healthy enough to even win one. That feels like a desperate last swing, and so that's where I think he'll end up going. Yep.
Because it's the Clippers, right? I mean, we said earlier in the show, it makes sense because it doesn't make sense. That's what the Clippers do. And we said this earlier as well, and Chris Mannix brought it up when we talked to him. You have to remember that the Clippers are moving into a brand new arena in Inglewood next year.
Yeah.
As much as it might be easy for us to sit here and say, oh, you got to blow it up if you're the Clips.
Yeah.
Kawhi never plays. Paul George never plays. You need to start thinking about the future. They don't want to move into a new arena without a star. So they could be a home.
They don't want the record number of toilets in the arena to be the star of the arena. They want to have a star attraction that's a player and isn't being flushed in the bathroom.
And they could make a really reckless move, I think. If it's not for James Harden, maybe it's for Kyrie. If it's not for Kyrie, maybe it's for Trae Young. I mean, they want to put butts in seats, and I think that's going to be their main priority.
They have a good coach. I mean, I trust their coach, and if they could ever keep Kawhi healthy, I think they could be dangerous. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Drew Carter. With the Harden thing, it also has tentacles in other stars and other moves, because I wonder, it seemed like Joel Embiid and James Harden had a pretty good relationship. I think part of the reason why they lost the Boston series is because Embiid, again, in the playoffs couldn't stay healthy, and Harden, again, couldn't step up. But I do wonder a little bit what the communication, if there's been any, has been like between Harden and the Sixers and Joel Embiid, the MVP of the NBA, over the course of the last day or so.
Well, because that's the bigger story here. It's a subplot that is actually more important than the plot today. James Harden leaving Philly, in the grand scheme, probably not that significant. You know, he's past his prime. We've seen this roster tap out in the second round. Joel Embiid leaving Philly, now that's a story. I mean, he's the reigning MVP, and yet he hasn't made it past the second round either in Philly.
Yep.
But if he goes somewhere else, you're looking at a team that, depending on what's around him, could be an instant contender. I mean, it's a Sixers roster. It's not exactly stacked around Joel Embiid, and they are always in the second round. And I feel like if he leaves Philly, you could be looking at a guy who's contending for an NBA championship, depending on where he goes. So that's the bigger story here. Like, if he looks around and says, we can't even keep James Harden, we can't even keep our second best player, I got to get out of here, now we're talking.
That's the one that if I'm the Knicks, I'm really interested in, not the James Harden one. And I think for Philly, it could go one of two ways. I mean, they could end up this offseason upgrading from James Harden to Damian Lillard, because what they net in the Harden deal could end up helping them if Lillard becomes available, bring him to Philadelphia. I think there's also a world in which Embiid just ups and decides to say, hey, guys, like, I've given you plenty of chances. You surround me with Ben Simmons. You let Jimmy Butler go. You totally screw up with Markelle Fultz. Like, how many big mistakes are they going to make before Embiid looks at the front office and says, guys, I've just given you enough chances. So I don't think it's as crazy as you think for Embiid to want out. And then there's also an argument to me for Philadelphia. And, Drew, I want you to really listen to this and then respond to it. Like, his injury history is so robust. He's had so many surgeries. He's a 7-footer with knee problems, ankle problems, feet problems. I mean, he's had so many different kinds. I could argue his trade value is never going to be higher than it is right now if they wanted to reprocess the process, tear down and try that whole thing over again. This could be an opportunity for them to do it.
Reprocess would be a great billboard if Philly actually does want to do this. That'd be a great marketing scheme. Reprocess. Here's my issue with what you just said. I have a couple issues, actually. Number one, Joel Embiid has played 68 games each of the last 2 years. In today's NBA, that's above average for a superstar.
But how many games is he going to play going forward, though? I mean, just because he's been able to stay relatively kind of sort of healthy.
So then
for
we
the
could
last
say that
2
about
years.
anyone. We could say that about any player, then.
No, he of all NBA superstars, I think he has pretty much the widest injury history this side of Kawhi Leonard. I mean, he came into the NBA and didn't play for years because he was hurt.
Because they were trying to lose, Goldie. They didn't want him to play.
Well, but also because he couldn't play because they drafted a guy who they knew had a degenerative foot injury who they were going to have to, like, really do some serious surgery on. I'm just saying, if you think Joel Embiid is going to be healthy for the remainder of his Philly contract, which includes years where he's going to be making north of $50 million a year with the Supermax extension that he signed there, I am not so sure. I don't know that I'd want to make that bet.
Well, making north of $50 million a year, it sounds crazy. It's a huge sticker price, but I mean, so will Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's going to sign a 5-year Supermax with the Celtics that'll pay him a projected $66 million in the 5th year. So it's a lot of money, $50 million, but for the reigning MVP, it's actually not. It's kind of a bargain with the current salary cap. I don't really buy into Joel Embiid's injury history being a problem at this point of his career. I feel like he has earned not questioning his durability anymore. And saying his value is never going to be higher, I understand why you say that. But this is not fantasy basketball.
Yeah.
What are you possibly going to get for the reigning MVP that makes it worth it to trade him? The Nets got 4 first-round picks and a couple of young, really good, promising players for Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
You would have to get more than that to make it worth your while trading the reigning MVP, don't you think?
Drew, they've tried those surrounding him with Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, James Harden, Tobias Harris. I mean, how many different pairings are they going to – and they can't even get to the conference finals in the East. Like, I'm not saying win a title. They can't get halfway to winning a championship. Okay. So I think, like, how it's gone so far for Joel and all that, I don't know how many more permutations of this they're going to be able to try. If they could get Lillard, I think that'd be worth at least trying. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He is Drew Carter. All right, time for us to play a little game where we have landing spots for free agents. Shannon, our producer, is going to throw out the player, and you and I have to list what we think the ideal landing spot or ultimate landing spot for that player is going to be. NBA free agency is about 45 minutes away. Stay tuned to us on ESPN Radio. We'll have the latest because my guess is, Drew, there are going to be some contracts that break right at 6 o'clock Eastern time. We go to Shannon as we play a little best landing spot for NBA free agency.
All right, Drew. First name on the list, Kyrie Irving. Best landing spot for Kyrie, Drew. What say you?
The Shanghai Sharks. Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy. I'm so tired of talking about Kyrie Irving. Why would anybody give him the keys to their franchise at this point? Haven't we learned? Shanghai Sharks, best landing spot for Kyrie, Goldie.
I guess I have to take it seriously because you didn't. I had a bad answer for this that could have gotten me in trouble with management, and I don't want to do it. Dallas, to me, is the ideal fit for Kyrie because they're the one that's actually willing, I feel like, to pay him the most money. He's trying to gain some negotiation leverage by inventing meetings with teams that can pay him like the taxpayer mid-level exception, which I guess I wouldn't put anything beyond Kyrie, but I definitely think he's going to be back in Dallas. Shannon, who's next?
All right, Goldhammer. Next on the list, Draymond Green.
Well, I think the best team for Draymond is the only team he's on right now. The triple single needs to go to the NBA on TNT or the NBA on ESPN. Draymond still is an effective-ish player, but I don't know that I want to see totally washed up Draymond. I mean, that's just going to be sad and bad because he has very little offensive game. Also, what else does he have to prove trying to go back to Golden State to win a fifth title? If I was him, now there's the money factor. But if I was him, I'd actually think about striking while the iron is hot in the television game. Drew?
I think the Sacramento Kings are the best landing spot for Draymond Green for a multitude of reasons. But number one, let's start with the on-court. The Kings last year in the regular season had the number one offensive rating in the NBA. They scored 119.4 points per 100 possessions.
Yep.
On defense, they were 25th, and they still got the 3 seed. Draymond Green, for as little offensive game as we think he has left, is still, to me, one of the 5 best defensive players in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he's the only reason the Warriors were even close to average defensively last year, considering Klay has dropped off on that side of the floor, and the other guys who helped make them an elite defense when they were at their peak aren't there anymore. If Draymond goes across Northern California from Golden State to Sacramento, I think he not only takes the Warriors out of being a championship contender, I think he makes the Kings a championship contender. And how great would that be for a budding rivalry in NorCal?
I had to call because the guy from Sacramento called out Cleveland earlier in the show. I had to call it the whatever circle of, but I don't know what circle is it supposed to be in the summer? What circle of hell is it? We're still trying to piece that together. Canty and Carlin.
Aren't they all the same?
ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I guess not. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Drew Carter. Shannon is with us. Who's next as we play a little free agency best landing spot?
All right, Drew, best landing spot for Fred VanVleet. What say you?
As much as I'd love to see Damian Lillard in Philly, I think this is the guy who makes the most sense for the Sixers. Fred VanVleet won a championship with Nick Nurse in Toronto. Fred VanVleet, to me, is one level below an elite point guard. I think he's very above average. I think he's fringe top 10. And I think you can win a championship with him as your point guard because I have become the Joel Embiid defender on today's program. I think if you put VanVleet next to Maxey in that backcourt, you've got Tobias Harris still on the roster, surrounding Joel Embiid. I think VanVleet and Philly could take them to the next level.
I'll tell you the team where he'd be an amazing fit, and they don't have the cap situation to make it happen, would be Boston, because they're just desperate for a quarterback on that team, it feels like. Someone that can dribble when it matters and not turn the ball over. I think he's going to end up in Houston, but I tend also to agree with you that I think Philadelphia would be a really interesting fit. But I don't know this for sure, but it would not surprise me at 6 o'clock if we were talking about one of the first free agents to come off the board is Fred let me try to say his name again. It's hard. Fred VanVleet to the Rockets.
Here's an under-the-radar destination for FVV, which is easier to say than his full name.
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago Bulls. So full transparency, I don't think they have enough money in their cap to make that happen. But
right.
They could get creative if they offload Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan or Nikola Vucevic.
Or both, yeah.
VanVleet is from Chicago area. He's from Rockford, which is outside, but it's Illinois. I mean, the Bulls are his hometown team. And they don't have Lonzo Ball, maybe ever again. Lonzo's going to miss another full NBA season. They need a point guard. Maybe Chicago, but they'd have to get real creative with their cap to do it.
Canty and Carlin, I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Drew Carter. Best landing spots in free agency. We got a couple more. Shannon, go ahead.
Not going to lie, I almost said Fred Van Yeet, so there we go.
Yeet?
Fred Van Yeet. All right, Goldhammer. It's a twofer here for you. Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, the Bucks. Best landing spot for those two guys.
I think those guys got to go back. I can't think that they would want their tenure in Milwaukee that includes a first championship for the Bucks in, 50 years or something like that. I don't know that they want it to end with that disappointing 5-game total choke job against the Miami Heat that they had in the playoffs this past year, where at the end they couldn't even get a shot off and they blew all the fourth quarter leads and everything. I think for both of those guys, I think Chris Middleton has proven when healthy to be an awesome pairing with Giannis. And there's some people who tell me they think Brook Lopez should have been the Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA this past year. So I think for both those guys, it might be smart to stay with the Bucks.
I agree. I'm with you 100%, Hammer. We were talking earlier in the show about if you're a fan base right now in the NBA, which teams are you really excited about? And definitely the Nuggets, definitely the Spurs. It's kind of hard to find teams outside of that who are really stoked about their future. The Knicks come to mind, Sacramento Kings maybe, but it seems like those teams' ceilings are capped. I think the Bucks fans should be excited about their future if they bring these two guys back.
Oh, yeah.
I know they lost in 5 in the first round against an 8 seed, but Giannis broke his back in that series.
Right.
And I know it's an excuse, and I'm not trying to make an excuse. I only bring that up.
It's a small point that I think some people have perhaps overlooked a little bit. Also, Middleton was hurt for the most of the season. Like, they just need – health is such a big factor here. I still think the Bucks with those guys are probably the favorites to win the championship.
I agree. And that's why I say they should come back. Now, if they don't, here's a potential landing spot for Brook Lopez. How about San Antonio? Bring him in, mentor to Wemby. They've got a lot of cap space.
You play those guys together, no one's getting to the rim.
Exactly.
The longest arms in NBA history.
And Wemby can defend the three-point line at the same time he's defending the rim. We've heard Wendy say that. So maybe San Antonio for Brook Lopez.
All right, the last one here for you guys.
Yes.
Drew, Dylan Brooks, best landing spot. It's like we almost forgot about him, right? It's been so long. Best landing spot for Dylan Brooks.
I mean, can he join Kyrie with the Shanghai Sharks? I already said that for one guy. So if you're looking at Dylan Brooks, you got to be down bad, right? You got to be real desperate. I think the Charlotte Hornets make sense for Dylan Brooks because they just missed out on the number 1 pick. They just missed out on Wemby.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be very good this year. Why not bring in Dylan Brooks and see what happens? And I know they've got off-the-court questions with Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller now, and Dylan Brooks, maybe not the best locker room guy, but I like Steve Clifford as a coach. Give him a shot in Charlotte.
I think that Golden State, if they had Chris Paul, Draymond Green, and Dylan Brooks, I mean, why not just embrace the chaos of all the crotch kickers and elbow to the face guys and smack talkers? Dylan Brooks could learn what it's like to actually be a real tough guy if he went to Golden State and not the fake tough guy that he is. I think he's going to end up in Houston, but that's the best fit that I could find for him. If I rooted for a team, I would not want them to be signing Dylan Brooks in free agency. That is for darn sure. Shannon, thank you. That is our edition of Best Landing Spots in the NBA. Up next, ESPN Radio's Rankum continues. Drew Carter has his top 5 NFL offseason editions. Plus, we are 37 minutes away from the start of NBA free agency. Any moves, any signings, we'll have them for you here. Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Camp to camp, every route, team to team.
It's on this field where fortunes are made or lost.
Continuing coverage. The countdown to kickoff rolls on.
69 days until the NFL season begins.
Yeah, I like football, I like football season, and all the things that go with it.
The NFL lives here. ESPN Radio.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hey, Jen, sorry I'm late. I had to stop for gas.
Yeah, I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
I know, everyone's still talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah, I earn back up to 25 cents a gallon every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
It sure does. I've made over $300 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SALE28 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SALE28 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code SALE28 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Ready for an exciting change? At Moore Norman, we can take your look from ordinary to extraordinary in a matter of minutes. Our innovative skincare, perfectly matched foundations, and on-trend colors will make a difference that's written all over your face. Come in and see what a makeover can do. We'll help select the products that are just right for you, and we'll teach you tips that the pros know about applying your most flattering shades. Ask for your free express makeover today, calling 217-359-8100, or visit 706 West Marketview Drive in Champaign.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
When you know you've got a problem and something's bugging you, call on American Pest Control and take control. You be wise, Americanized. Call on American Pest Control. That's how you get back in control. Call American Pest Control. American Pest Control. No more bugs to bug you. Take control.
Kids may love bugs, but we don't. It's time now for a free, no-obligation termite inspection. American Pest Control has now installed the Centricon Colony Elimination System to over 3,000 homes right here in central Illinois. The Centricon system not only blocks the termites' progress, Centricon provides complete colony elimination. Get their home before they get yours. Call us today.
Call American Pest Control. American Pest Control. No more bugs to bug you. Take control.
Wrap up the month of June on the annual Fan Appreciation Night with only $5 for admission and fireworks with a special meet and greet for the drivers during intermission time. It's one of the biggest nights at Farmer City Raceway. You don't want to miss it. It's a great night to bring someone new to the track and pay their way in. Farmer City Racing with fireworks finale June 30th. Learn more at FarmerCityRacing.com.
Hi, I'm Jason Sikowski with the Ches Veteran Center, nominated to be the Grand Marshal for the Champaign County Freedom Celebration Parade on the 4th of July, starting at 11:05 a.m. As a former Marine, it's great to represent our local soldiers and lead the parade as I look out at those attending wearing red, white, and blue, waving small flags, and having fun celebrating America. Yeah, it is an honor, and I'm actually a very low-key person, so to be highlighted like this and share this experience with my boys and my wife, I really am going to keep this as a great memory. The evening program at 7 has food trucks, kids' activities, music from Crazy Johnny and the 11th Hour Band. The fireworks are synchronized to the patriotic soundtrack and start at 9:15 p.m. after Crystal McCullough sings the national anthem and Champaign Fire Department retires the colors. If you'd like more details or to give, visit july4th.net. That's July4th.net.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Somebody else fight for you.
Because of all the donations, mine is one of the lives that's been saved. 1, 2, 3. Never give up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Visit v.org/donate.
What is that?
My mortgage rate detector. I made it out of an old altimeter alarm. With Navy Federal Credit Union's no refi rate drop option, we could get a lower rate without refinancing our mortgage. So I'm keeping a close eye on mortgage rates. They're dropping. Call Navy Federal.
Buy a home, and if rates drop, you could lower your rate and save thousands. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Loan subject to approval and eligibility requirements. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
Hey, Jen, sorry I'm late. I had to stop for gas.
Yeah, I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
I know. Everyone's still talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah. I earn back up to 25 cents a gallon every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
It sure does. I've made over $300 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CAR3 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CAR3 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code CAR3 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The NBA free agent market opens for business less than 30 minutes from now. Negotiations are allowed for 30 hours until midnight Eastern tomorrow. Meanwhile, the 76ers are hoping to trade James Harden. But ESPN's Brian Windhorst says this situation reminds him of the Ben Simmons standoff.
I will tell you, the Sixers have multiple options here. They are not in a desperate situation. They are not in a desperate situation with what they've still got on their roster, and they are not in a desperate situation that they have to listen and do this trade right now.
Brian Windhorst on Fitz and Harry. Free agent deals can't officially be signed until Thursday, July 6th. The NHL free agency signing period opens up tomorrow at noon Eastern. The Vegas Golden Knights will sign goaltender Adin Hill to a 2-year extension worth almost $10 million. Hill went 11-4 in the team's run to the Stanley Cup. Dodgers outfielder Mookie Betts joins the party for the Home Run Derby on July 10th, his first Derby. And American soccer star Christian Pulisic could be moving from Chelsea to AC Milan. The sides haven't agreed on a transfer fee.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
From the top 5 NFL quarterbacks.
So badly wants to bring Super Bowl here to Buffalo.
Herbert rolling right, throws, touchdown. To the top 5 NFL fan bases. We're ranking the top of everything in the NFL. This is ESPN Radio's Rank 'em, the top 5 offseason editions.
On this beautiful Friday here on Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, presented by Progressive Insurance. It's our top 5 NFL offseason editions. Alongside Aaron Goldhammer, who already did his top 5 and crushed it, I must say. I'm Drew Carter. We're filling in for the guys today. Let's get right into it with my top 5 NFL offseason editions.
Number 5.
I will never forget the last time I watched Hard Knocks was the Raiders. I think they had moved to Las Vegas by then, but they might have still been playing in Oakland. I can't even remember. What I do remember are 2 things. Antonio Brown acting a fool, and a young man by the name of Darren Waller shocking everybody. You know, the reports were so positive in the offseason. He was a sleeper in fantasy football. And Liev Schreiber, who narrates that show, said the name Darren Waller like 100 times. And in that moment, I knew Darren Waller was going to be a star. He was for the Raiders. We all forgot about him last year, injury issues. Raiders not very good. He goes to the Giants, and I think he's going to produce in a big way for a team that's on the rise. Darren Waller to the Giants, my number 5 pick.
Number 4.
Speaking of pass-catching options, going to teams that need them, DJ Moore to Chicago. He might not put up astronomical numbers, but at least we have a chance to see what Justin Fields really is at this point. His passing numbers were horrible last year. There's no getting around it. The Bears didn't even want him to throw the ball when they were losing by 4 scores. That's how little they trusted him. But we know the talent is in there. You watch him at Ohio State, you see the highlights, you know what Justin Fields can do. He is more than just a running quarterback. He can be a true dual threat. Or can he? We'll find out this year because he actually has a number 1 wide receiver. Got DJ Moore in that trade, moving down from the number 1 pick. I think it was a great move for both sides. Now we can really see what Justin Fields is because of DJ Moore, who's my number 4 acquisition.
Number 3.
Jalen Ramsey going to Miami could have serious ramifications for the entire league. Last year, the Dolphins were an average defense. For the past few years, their strength has been at cornerback. But Jalen Ramsey, even though you look at the advanced metrics, he might have slipped a little bit last year from his elite play when he was in L.A., is still one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. We saw what it did when the Rams brought him in. He won a Super Bowl there. The Dolphins might not be that close, but they were really good offensively last year when Tua was healthy. You had Jalen Ramsey to the mix. You also had a new defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, which is partially why this is a number 3 acquisition for me. It's kind of a package deal. You get a new DC who's very well respected and perhaps the best cornerback in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey to Miami is a huge one for me. It checks in at number 3 on my list.
Number 2.
Derek Carr to New Orleans. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a huge Derek Carr guy. I'm not a Derek Carr stan. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. But here are the other quarterbacks in the NFC South. Bryce Young, a rookie. Desmond Ridder, a who knows what. And Baker Mayfield / Kyle Trask. Derek Carr going to New Orleans, they should be the favorites to win this division. They were not that far off last year. For as much as the Saints are always in cap hell, the 5th circle or the 4th or whatever the number of circles it is that the Saints are in cap hell, it seems like they always figure it out. Their roster always ends up being decent. The Saints should be the favorite to win this division simply by having a competent quarterback. Are they going to win a playoff game? Probably not. Last year they had the Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston experience, and they still almost won the division. Derek Carr going to New Orleans makes them the favorite in my eyes. That's why it's the biggest player acquisition of the offseason for me at number 2 overall.
Number 1.
So if Carr is the biggest player acquisition, who's number 1? Well, I am a homer. So the Vikings' new defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, is to me the most important NFL acquisition of the offseason. Minnesota last year was 27th in defensive DVOA, which is a fancy way of saying they were really bad on defense. Their offense, not the problem. I think it'll be good again. I love Kirk Cousins. Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the NFL. Cutting ties with Dalvin Cook, you don't lose a whole lot. You draft Jordan Addison in the first round. They're going to score. Can they stop anybody? Bringing in Brian Flores, to me, is a huge deal. They lose some talent defensively. Eric Kendricks, probably their best defensive player. He's gone. They needed to save money. I think Flores can make up the difference. That's why Brian Flores, the Vikings' new defensive coordinator, is my number one NFL offseason edition.
Drew, you know I love you. Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Drew Carter. This has got to be one of the worst lists I've ever seen in my entire life.
Are you serious? Dude, I said your list was great.
Because my list is great. You're giving me honest feedback about me. I'm giving you honest feedback about you. You don't have Aaron Rodgers on the list. It was the thing we talked about more than anything else this offseason. Was that one of the biggest acquisitions?
That's my protest. This is my personal boycott of talking about Aaron Rodgers again. You know what? They're not.
Derek Carr to the Saints is a bigger deal. Jalen Ramsey, who's past his prime and gives up wide open touchdowns with guys running by him, and Darren Waller, who's some tight end who you're going to take in the 17th round of your fantasy draft.
Where will the Jets finish in their division this year, Hammer?
Probably second or third, maybe third. They can finish third and still make the playoffs.
Where will the Saints finish in their division?
Their division's a joke, but I don't think they're going to win it. I think Carolina will be better than them. I think Bryce Young will be the best quarterback in that division right off a Jump Street. Drew's top 5 offseason acquisitions in the NFL. Additions, Darren Waller, DJ Moore, Jalen Ramsey, Derek Carr, Brian Flores. Mine, Dan Snyder addition by subtraction in Washington. You got to admit that's a pretty
That's a good one. That is a really good
Odell Beckham because it got Lamar back. Sean Payton in Denver. Javon Hargrave in San Francisco. And Aaron Rodgers, to me, like Greeny believes, certainly, is the number one player on this list. Up next, what are you looking forward to the most as we inch closer? We're 20 minutes away from Woj sending all the tweets that he has in his drafts because NBA free agency is about to get started. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He's Drew Carter. Canty and Carlin's on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The countdown to kickoff rolls on. 69 days until the NFL season begins.
McCaffrey to the 20. He's got another touchdown.
No matter how we win, it's if we win.
Continuing coverage.
Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young.
Camp to camp, team to team. The NFL lives here. ESPN Radio.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I think this market is a unique one that has been kind of underrepresented. Like the two major sports haven't been very good. DC's up there. It's one of the big boys. It's not a small market team.
Check out the Dominique Foxworth Show anywhere you get your podcast.
FX's hit series The Bear returns.
I'm opening a restaurant. Gotta go hard every day.
The show the critics call the most anticipated new season on TV.
We have equipment that works. That's a great start, everybody. 0.
This place is going to take 6 months to open.
6 months?
That's being, what,
confident?
Cocky. Crazy.
FX's The Bear. All episodes now streaming. Only on Hulu.
Greeny.
If you and I meet as adults, I shouldn't know when your birthday is, and you shouldn't know mine. Am I wrong? Who here thinks I'm wrong?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This MLB season is action-packed. It's adrenaline-filled. It's must-watch. It's gone! That ball is hit.
The rest is history.
It's next-generation baseball. MLB stars take the stage on Sunday Night Baseball. Giants, Mets. Sunday at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Presented by Casamigos Tequila.
Mike Greenberg, Greeny.
Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and Kevin Durant. So Aaron Rodgers won a championship a long time ago. Drafted into a league in which he was succeeding a legendary player and has played his entire career in a league in which the greatest player ever was playing. Kevin Durant is kind of similar. Came into the league at a time when LeBron James has been by far the best player, and this has been LeBron's era. Now, Durant's championship history is complicated. The 2 titles they won at Golden State, people have all kinds of feelings about them. I think it is reasonable to say almost all of those exact same things about Aaron Rodgers. He also gets questions about his championships, not because the one he has isn't fully valid, but because the great champion quarterbacks tend to have 2. So upon which player do you think there exists more pressure to win a championship? Kevin Durant in Phoenix, Aaron Rodgers with the Jets.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
Macklemore here, repping my hometown of Seattle. MLB's greatest sluggers in baseball, SummerSlam, are coming to the Emerald City. Give us the bombs, the big flies, the no dollars, the blacks. Give us the derby. What a night. The T-Mobile Home Run Derby. Monday, July 10th at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
This is Buster Olney, host of the Baseball Tonight podcast, inviting you to join us. We go 3 days a week with great guests from players such as Mike Trout and Carlos Correa, managers like Dusty Baker and Dave Roberts, general managers like Brian Cashman and Alex Anthopoulos, and our regulars, Tim Kirkchin, Sarah Langs, Jeff Pass, and Carl Ravitch. Baseball is a great fishbowl of humanity, and we go big game fishing every day. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, y'all, this is Marty Smith.
And I'm Ryan McGee. And we are
Marty and McGee. Check us out every Saturday morning on ESPN Radio and the SEC Network.
Of course, we'll be all over the biggest news in the world of sports.
And plenty of that Marty and McGee type stuff.
Like the Hillbilly Headlines.
And some of the craziest callers you've ever heard in your life.
It might be the only reason to wake up that early on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, for sure. It's Marty and McGee.
From 7 to 10 Eastern.
On ESPN Radio and the SEC Network.
The 2023 U.S. Open Tennis Championships. It's the sport's biggest stars. It's the next generation now. It's fire on the court and off. It's edgy as seat and up on your feet. And it only happens here. The U.S. Open, August 28th through September 10th. Tickets on sale now at usopen.org. The U.S. Open. Spectacular awaits.
How are you? My name is Scott Van Pelt, host of SV Pod, along with my partner in crime, Stanford Steve. What do we talk about mostly on the podcast, Steve?
Sports.
Some.
Parenting.
I feel like that comes up a lot. I feel like most recently I've needed some help because I feel like my shortcomings there are evident. It's life stuff, you know, relatable content.
It's fun.
It's just two bald-headed goons just talking about nonsense a lot. In a crowded podcast space, there's that one.
We're here.
Here we are.
The countdown clock is under 13 minutes, and we are coming close to the start of NBA free agency on Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, ESPN app. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. He is Drew Carter. I imagine, Drew, that Adrian Wojnarowski has a bunch of information ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
But he does not want to reveal it yet because it's not 6 o'clock, and it has to look like that no player has talked to any team Although they've been talking probably for weeks and in some cases months. Our weekend preview is brought to you by Geico. Switch to Geico today and see all the ways that you can save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote. Start seeing how much you can save today. If you're an NBA fan, you need your cell phone charged because I imagine the deals aren't just going to be coming down tonight, Drew. They're going to be coming down all throughout the course of the weekend. The news will follow.
Well, it's amazing, Hammer, how these teams and these players and these agents manage to negotiate sometimes $100 million contracts in a matter of seconds, right? I mean, because the negotiation window opens and then bang, it's like they've agreed to it right away. And, of course, the NBA rules say you can't talk before the free agency window opens up. So, naturally, they're not. It's like no one drinks before the age of 21. There's no tampering happening here. But we're watching the free agency special over on ESPN TV on NBA Today. Mm-hmm. And Dave McMenamin went on there and reported that the Lakers are going to offer Austin Reeves as much as they can, which, due to their current cap situation, is 4 years, $53 million. Yeah. Now, Austin Reeves, the max he can get from any team is almost twice that. It's 4 years, $98 million.
Yeah.
And he is a restricted free agent, which means the Lakers can match if someone else offers him a lot more. Right. This, to me, is one of the most interesting stories that not many people are talking about because, you know, we're so focused on what's Harden going to do, what's Dame going to do, why is Kyrie meeting with teams who would actually want him.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves was probably the third best player on a conference final team last year, and he delivered in the playoffs for them.
Sure.
I think he's going to get huge money, and will the Lakers pony up to keep him around?
Well, I also wonder, though, Drew, like what cap space team is willing to make the offer sheet for Austin Reeves for a couple reasons. One is they'd tie up the money so that they can't spend it on anybody else. And the second one you brought up, which is that the Lakers are probably going to match. It's funny, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about Kyrie going back to L.A. to play with LeBron. I mean, a lot of time. And everybody assumed that that was just fait accompli. At some point it was going to happen. Now it looks like it's definitely not happening. You know, that the Lakers are committing to this supporting cast that took them to the conference finals last year around LeBron and AD, and they are not going to go all in like they did for Westbrook to try to get a third star. One other note, Woj is reporting on NBA Today right now, 2 free agents who are expected to come off the board really quickly. One is Draymond Green back to Golden State, and the other is Jeremy Grant back to Portland. So not that those would be massive surprises, but Drew, there was some thought about Draymond possibly leaving the Warriors and it being the end of an era for Golden State with Bob Myers going out and Mike Dunleavy coming in the new GM. It sounds like their big move was to offload Jordan Poole's contract to bring in Chris Paul, and they're really going for it for one last 5th championship with Steph, Clay, and Draymond.
As much as I would love to see Draymond Green play for the Kings, which is a move that I think would make a lot of sense for both parties,
yeah,
he was always going back to Golden State.
Yeah.
That seemed like a fait accompli that he would stick around, they would run it back. You look at the landscape, and they're certainly still contenders. I mean, we're only a year removed from sitting here this time last year talking about them as the NBA champions. Of course, you've got a juggernaut now in the Denver Nuggets, your precious Denver Nuggets. But outside of that, I mean, a 7-seed play-in team was in the Western Conference Finals last year.
Right.
So
the door
they
is
beat
still,
the Warriors.
The door
but
is
it's still open.
ajar. What do you think is more likely? Bron wins another title or Steph wins another title?
That's such a great question. Oh, we got to take calls on that. 1-888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776.
I think the lines are open, but I think it relates so much to free agency because of what these two teams are going to do to try to surround the aging superstars. 888-729-3776 is our number. You know, to me, I thought the Warriors just had a mess of a season last year, going all the way back to Draymond punching Jordan Poole in the face and that video getting out. And they admitted that situation really made their whole season toxic, right? So, you know, now I think they try to restart without that, you know, albatross hanging over their heads and sort of wipe the slate clean. The other thing it might be, you know, I don't know that they're going to come to an agreement. I don't know what Steve Kerr's contract situation is in Golden State, but it does feel like they're trying to at least make one last dance, if not multiple last dances, with that Steph, Clay, and Draymond group. To me, the thing I'm looking forward to, though, the most is what's going to happen with Dame Lillard, because I think that's the biggest impact thing, more so than Harden, more so than Kyrie. Dame is still at a point in his career where he can swing who wins the NBA championship. And I don't know that I'd say that about those other two guys. So I think if I could get one question answered about what's going to happen in the next week or two, is Dame going to stay in Portland? Is he going to go elsewhere? Up next, NBA free agency opens as we continue on Canty and Carlin. Aaron Goldhammer, Drew Carter on ESPN Radio.
Progressive knows we're all trying to save right now.
Hey, at least we're still enjoying baseball on a Saturday night, right?
Even if it is T-ball.
Yeah, but tickets to the majors are just so expensive now. And who knows, maybe we're seeing a pro in the making.
Sure, in like 20 years. How is he safe? Boo! This up stinks!
The ump is only 14. We don't really do that.
Oh, my bad. You're doing a great job, ump.
Progressive offers you savings without sacrifice. So save big when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers.
Yo, Biff, this one still needs to be back.
The service at Chuck's car detailing business is spotless. But new word-of-mouth recommendations leave him short of hands.
They don't have an appointment? Just get him in line behind the pickup truck. I'll stay for another couple hours and get it done tonight.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The SV Pod with Scott Van Pelt.
It was a rough FaceTime after the meet from work, seeing those faces after their DQs.
Hey, Strokes McJohnny out there, you made a 7-year-old cry. This ain't the Olympics, okay? Pull him off to the side, give him a little dap and say, listen, you want to think about doing this or that? All right, there you go.
Check out the SV Pod with Scott Van Pelt wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2023 U.S. Open Tennis Championships. It's the sport's biggest stars. It's the next generation now. It's fire on the court and off. It's edge of your seat and up on your feet. And it only happens here. The U.S. Open, August 28th through September 10th. Tickets on sale now at usopen.org. The U.S. Open. Spectacular awaits.
You have cancer. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself.
Round 1 of chemotherapy. I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna survive. There's no way I'm gonna let this take over me.
Cancer doesn't care what you look like, who you are.
It may not save my life. It may save my children's life. It may save someone you love.
You ready to get this cancer about you? Let's do it.
Live. Fight like hell. And when you get too tired to fight, let somebody else fight for you. That's what you say to me, say
to me, say to me. Because of all the donations, mine is one of the lives that's been saved. 1, 2, 3. Never give up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Visit v.org/donate.
30 years have passed since Jim Valvano's legendary speech that launched the V Foundation.
It's been 30 years of battles.
30 years of perseverance.
30 years of progress.
30 years of strength.
And 30 years
of never giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Watch the ESPYs on ABC at 8 p.m. on July 12th. To donate, go to v.org/donate.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Schaap, host of the podcast ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, I'll bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, Patrick McEnroe joins the show to help us preview Wimbledon and to tell us whether anyone can beat Novak Djokovic. So follow us and listen wherever you get good podcasts.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Joe Fortenbaugh.
Absolutely fantastic news for the Philadelphia 76ers, because if you go back to when they acquired James Harden, they had to give up Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round draft picks, 1 protected, 1 unprotected. In exchange, they bring back James Harden and Paul Millsap. Now, Philadelphia won that trade. as of right now because Simmons has been a net negative for the Nets. Meanwhile, Harden did lead the league in assists last season and had a spectacular game one against Boston. So you got something out of him. The ability to bring something back and not just lose him outright in free agency is huge for Philadelphia. Now, for those who are going to say, well, what about the production you're going to lose? Regular season production, big numbers, that's what James Harden can do. But when you need him to be an absolute killer, he's never been that guy. Running it back with him isn't going to get you anywhere closer to what you're ultimately looking for, which is an NBA title.
Hey, Doctor, not a real customer. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 44-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Welcome to Ethos, a new kind of insurance company that believes life insurance should be hassle-free, affordable, and accessible for everyone.
For around $1 a day, I got a 20-year, $250,000 term life insurance policy without a medical exam. All I had to do was answer a few health questions and snap, family protected. It was quick and easy. Ethos is 100% online. I got a quote in seconds, applied in minutes, and got coverage in hours. Just answer a few health questions. No medical exam, no blood tests, no hassle. Look, nobody wants to plan for the unthinkable, but it would be so much worse to not plan at all. So don't put it off. It feels great having the peace of mind knowing that my family is protected.
Ethos, the 100% online hassle-free way to get affordable life insurance. Don't wait. Get your free online quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ethoslife.com.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.